Today we're going to be building out an AI-powered, 100% automated print-on-demand store. Whew, that was a lot of words. So this is practically what it looks like. We're going to be using Printify for this. Once again, this is 100% automated. We're going to be generating t-shirts or whatever product it is you want, just like this. So in this example, I generated a Fox t-shirt. Now you don't have to use foxes, you can use whatever it is you want. And once you create products just like this, you can immediately from Printify, you can push this onto all your stores on Shopify, on eBay, on Etsy and Amazon and TikTok. I mean, this is gonna save you so much freaking time. You can use AI to generate the images. If you find images online, you're like, hey, I wanna generate like an AI clone of this image, you can do that too. Or if you have other images and you just want to publish them really quickly online automatically, this video is for you. We're gonna be walking through how you can do this from the very beginning all the way to the very end. And how we practically are gonna be doing this is with an application called Make.com. Now, if you guys are new to Make.com, this tutorial, it's gonna be for beginners. So even if you don't know anything, you're looking at this being like, I've never seen this before, don't worry, we're gonna walk through it every step of the way together. And there's two scenarios in here. Number one is generating these AI products. So we're gonna be using something called Stability AI just to generate images here. And then we're gonna push it into a spreadsheet like this. And what you can do is you can go through all the images and you'll, open them up one by one. And if you like an image like this, I always like having a bit of human intervention in there. You don't have to, but like for me, I highly, highly recommend it just because obviously I want to have some level of quality control. But you'll go through, you'll pick an image like this and you'll be like, hey, that looks good to me. I'm going to generate this. You hit that nice little checkbox button there, and then it's going to start this second workflow. In this second workflow, essentially what we're doing is we're taking that image and then we're going to upload it into Printify. We're going to create multiple variants like small, medium, large, and then it's going to be right here. And then you can push that automatically into whatever store that you have your products on. So with that being said, guys, we're going to dive into this. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you're new to Make.com, make sure to download my 10 blueprints for free down below in the description. And if you guys are looking for a done for you solution where I and my agency come in and automate your entire business, then also check out the link down below in the description as well. With that being said, let's officially get started. All right, so let's get into this. We're gonna be using Make.com. If you guys haven't gone ahead and done so, you can sign up for a free account. And once inside, we're going to hit this massive create a new scenario button at the top right. And we're going to go ahead and start our workflow. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to generate artificial intelligence images, and we want to push that into a Google Sheet like this, right? And the reason we want to do this, keep in mind, is because we want to take a look at all the images that we generate. So we can go through and be like, hey, is this a product that I'd be happy to create into a t-shirt? So personally, that's a no. Next one, let's take a look at and see if this is good enough. Okay, that's also definitely a no. Not every single image is going to be perfect. And depending on the AI generator you're using, sometimes it's going to be good images, sometimes it's going to be bad. This one, potentially, I mean, it's like a maybe. I don't know, the eye is kind of a bit weird there. But the next one here, I actually kind of like. So this is something that I'd be like, hey, you know what? That looks good to me. This is something that I'd be interested in creating a t-shirt design out of, at least if not for anything more than just a split test to see if something like this would work, right? So that looks good to me. And then we go ahead and obviously create it and go ahead and put this into the store. So the first thing is we're going to generate these images. Now, there's a lot of different ways that we can go about generating images. And when I mean a lot of different ways, I mean, there's like ChatGPT. We can generate images through ChatGPT. We could do like Stability AI. We could do Leonardo. The options are endless. I do recommend you guys playing around with these and seeing what you like. But ultimately speaking, I'm just going to go ahead and probably use ChatGPT just because most people are familiar with it. Now, that is not the first step. The first step here is actually going to be Google Sheets. Okay, so we're going to use Google Sheets. And out of all of these options, specifically what we want to do is we want to watch for changes, right? And we want to watch for changes because ultimately speaking, I want to start this workflow in a Google Sheet like this when we click a button here. So I want to have like a new sheet, and I'm actually going to start this from the ground up. So we're going to go into sheets.google.com or for simple, I guess, Google Sheets. And we're going to create a blank spreadsheet here. And I'm going to title this Printify. Printify. Okay, perfect. And we're going to have two sheets down here at the bottom. One is going to be for One is going to be for products. So I'm going to title this one products. And if my face is blocking this, I'll zoom in a second. And this one is going to be ideas. So we have products and we have ideas, right? And this idea tab is where we can kind of come up with some inspiration to generate a whole bunch of images off of, right? So in the header section here, what I want to do is I want to say like image ideas, and then let's just say, I don't know, create in column D. And essentially what's going to happen is maybe I put in dogs here and I'm just brainstorming, and I put in cats and I put in, I don't know, ducks and elephants and so on and so forth. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to do cats or ducks. Maybe I just want to do dogs and elephants. And when you're ready to generate some ideas, what we can do here is we can enter in some checkboxes on these. And the cool thing about these checkboxes is they're either true or false. So if they're unchecked, they're false. And if they are checked, they're going to be true, right? And what we want to do is when this is checked, we want to generate images and put them back into a Google spreadsheet like this, so that when we find the images, like not all of them are going to be perfect like we went over earlier, but when we do find the perfect one, we click the checkbox and then we push that into our Printify dropshipping store and then push that on to everything else. So that's kind of like the workflow here. And in order to do this in make.com in our new scenario, we want to do something called watch for changes. And specifically when I say watch for changes, what we want to watch for is when we click create, right? And this is going to create images for us, right? So that's essentially how we're going to go about doing this. So in make.com, it's going to say, hey, let's watch for changes. And we have to create something called a webhook. And what this essentially means is it's just a way for this Google Sheet to send information into make.com. So in practicality, when we check this box, we want to make sure that this workflow starts and we can generate some images. Okay, so in this webhook, we're going to click add here, and we're going to change the name from my edit webhook. I'm not sure why they had like a capital M, capital E, but then a lowercase w. But anyways, I'm going to do my Printify here, and I'm going to save this, and this will be my name. And it's given us this URL here. And if we just paste this into a new tab, just so that you guys are comfortable with this, we have two parts to this URL. We have the ID here, which is unique, and that is completely unique to this specific scenario here. So anytime information is to be sent here, it is going to be received at this starting trigger here, right? And then the scenario or this automation will start. So and then before that is just like the root domain for make.com, right? So we're going to copy this, and there's two things we need to do in order to set this up properly to receive information in make.com at this starting point here. And the first thing is if you guys haven't done so already, we need to go into extensions and add-ons and get add-ons. And we're going to type in at the top make.com, or actually I think it's just make, okay? And let's see, okay, sweet. So we have it here. Man, it's crazy. This is growing so fast. Every single time it's like an extra 20,000 people. But you just want to download this make.com integration here. And then once you have installed that, then you can come back to extensions and then go to make for Google Sheets and settings. If this hasn't appeared yet, just refresh the page and it should be there. And essentially we just want to paste this webhook that we received from this module into the Google Sheets URL right here, and then scroll down, click save, and then it's going to wait 3 seconds, and then it should save, and we're good to go. Okay, the save has been recorded, and we're all set. Now, practically speaking, any change we make here will now start this workflow, right? So we can click OK here, and where my face is conveniently blocking the screen, we have this run once button. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to click that, and any change we make here, it's going to fire here and be received. So you can see here that we have a result at the scenario stop because it's received test data. We can hover over this one here, and let's take a look at what we see here. So first things first is the value is true here, which is what we clicked, right? So the value is whatever we changed, which is true. And it's pulling in a bit of other information as well, like the range. Like we can see this was on row 3 and it was in column 4, which is column D. And we also get access to all the other things in that row 2, like specifically the image idea cat, right? So we're going to generate images for cat, right? So we're pulling in everything from that row. So that's awesome. That's the first step here. Now, the second step is we're going to use ChatGPT to generate AI images of cats. So we'll do like ChatGPT, and keep in mind, you can use so many other different AI modules here, like Leonardo, like ChatGPT, like stability AI. You could also use, oh man, I'm forgetting the name, but it'll come back to me eventually. So in order to do this, what we want to do is we want to click generate an image here. And yeah, we're just going to use the model Dolly 3 to do this for now, just because this is probably the simplest way. Like, obviously, I'd recommend you guys testing it out, seeing what works for you. But for now, I just want to use something that most people are probably very familiar with. And we need to create a prompt here. And this prompt is going to say, please generate me an image of a, and then we can type in the row value, hit that downwards button here, and we're going to put in row value A, which is cats. And this is important because whatever is in column A is going to be what we checked off here. So if we checked off column or row 2, it would pull in dogs. If we checked in row 3, it would pull in cats. Similarly, if we checked off row 4, it would pull in ducks here. So this is always going to change depending on the row that you type in. But please generate me an image of a cat, which this is the cat here, cat cartoon design that I can use on a t-shirt. Please make it, I don't know, really cool and eye-catching. Obviously, you're going to have to do a bit better of a job than this prompt here, but I think that's a good start. We can show advanced settings here. We'll choose size. Yeah, this looks good to me. 1024 by 1024 quality. You can choose whatever. And the response format here, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to use a URL for this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use an image file for this. And the reason why I'm using an image file is because the URLs here, like if you come back 5 days later, they're just going to delete this off their servers likely, and then you won't have access to this. So I want a better way to save these images so that when it comes time to use them, it's not going to be deleted by mistake. So we're going to use image file here, and I'm going to click OK. Just 2 more things that I want to do here. Number 1 is I'm going to add another module, and in order to save this properly, instead of it being deleted off ChatGPT's servers, we're going to save this into Google Drive. Now, you need a business account to do this. You cannot use a personal Google Drive account, I believe, in order to do this. If you have a personal Google Drive account, you can skip this one particular module here and just use the link from ChatGPT, change this back to response format as URL, and then you're good to go. But for this, you need a business account in order to upload a file. So we're going to upload a file here, and we're just going to choose the business account that you have. So I can't use like a personal account here. And if you want, you can just go to like Google Workspace, for example, if you want to download or get a business account. It's like $7 a month or something like that. And anyways, we're going to essentially just choose from a list, and we're going to insert this particular image that we're generating from OpenAI, and we're going to paste this into our Google Drive so that we can reference this at any point in time. It's never going to be deleted. It's always going to be there. We'll click OK. And you can see that there's 2 errors here. This is just a bug in make.com. We have to come back in here and click OK again, and those will disappear. And then lastly, what we're going to do right before testing this out is we're going to insert the image that we generated here. We're going to insert that into our products tab here. So this will be image here, and then this will be like a create over here as well. So we want to, once we generate the idea for dogs, we can just go ahead and generate that image and paste it right under the images tab in products here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Last thing we're going to do here is choose Google Sheets, and I'm going to do URL, ID, and niche, let's just say. And we're going to pass this information in. This should be like, niche should be like cat. ID is the ID of the Google Drive folder, and the URL is from the Google Drive folder as well. So we're going to add a row here, and we're going to, first of all, choose the right account. In this case, the Google spreadsheet is under this Google user. I have many Google users. Maybe you just have one. If you do have one, it's just the default one. And then we're going to select search from all. And what essentially this is asking for is saying, hey, you need to tell me which sheet you want me to actually paste this stuff on. And how we do that is just coming into the sheet, and we're going to go into the URL up here, and it's going to be this ID after the D/ and before the /edit. We can grab that, paste it in the spreadsheet ID, and we're good to go. And then it's just going to ask us, hey, which tab do you actually want to use? And for my case, I want to put this in the products tab, which is once again down here. And then we're going to fill in the information to actually put it on this particular row. So in order for us to do that now, we're just going to paste the URL, which is, we can type into the search bar here, link. And there's a lot of different links here, so just be careful that it's web view link and not web content link. Web content link is essentially, if you click on that, it'll immediately download it, which has its uses. But this is like the actual link to the Google Drive where you can view the image, the web view link. So just make sure to paste that in there. And then we also want to include the ID of this file. So we'll just do like the file ID, and the niche is going to be essentially the cats or whatever we put in column A here, like image ID. Is this dog, cats, ducks, elephants, whatever. And how we can do that is just scrolling all the way down to the bottom, row values, and we'll put row value A, and we're good to go. We'll save this and we can give this a run now, and it should work. So we'll wait for new data and we'll just uncheck this for now. And we should receive that in this spreadsheet here. We're going to generate the image. And then that image is going to be uploaded into Google Drive. If there's no mistakes, fingers crossed. And sweet. Okay, so no mistakes so far. And then it's been pasted into this spreadsheet over here. Let's just take a look and see what this looks like. Okay, cool. So that's like a decent start. I actually don't mind that all that much, but obviously we just want to make sure that it doesn't have like a collar or anything up at the top here, because that's just, well, that's not a, maybe that is a good print design. Maybe you do want like a collar within a collar within a collar, and it's like collar inception and that's your brand. But for most of you out there, that's probably not what you want. So let's go ahead and change this prompt just so that it doesn't include that collar. So I'm just going to say, please make sure this is a PNG file with just the design and no background. Okay, we'll give it a shot there. And of course you'd play around with this and just add in things that you do and you don't want. But essentially we can go ahead and run this one more time. And really the only other thing that I want to do here is I want to add a filter on this step. So if in between the Google Sheet and the ChatGPT module here, we need to add a filter, right? So you can click these three dots, add a filter, and this filter is, first of all, the value that is being clicked has to be true, right? So in this case, if I uncheck this, it shouldn't fire because this is false. It should only fire if it's true. So we want to make sure the value is true. And we also want to make sure that whatever the row that was changed or the column that was changed was, so column start here equals 4. And if we get those two things, so in other words, if the change happened in column D and the value is true, then it will fire this workflow. So we'll save that, run this, and wait for new data. And we'll go ahead and create another image of a dog, and then it's going to fire off, pass that filter, generate the image, upload it to Google Drive, and then push it back into our Google Sheet here, right? So that is just another way that you can generate images. And I guess if you wanted to as well, you could generate multiple images for the same idea here. And how we'd go about generating multiple different images for this is we would need to essentially do 2 extra steps here. In a nutshell, we need to, we have one prompt here, which is just like, hey, let's create a dog, but we need to create 10 different images. So we need to create like a list, if you will, of like 10 different instances, and then run through each instance each time once, right? So because there's a list of 10, we go through the first thing, second thing, third thing, and so on and so forth. That's essentially probably the simplest way that I can explain this, but we'll walk through this together. If you guys are interested in generating multiple images, we'll add a module here. It's going to be a tools module, and we can set a variable here, and we're just creating some arbitrary list that has no meaning other than just to make sure this runs 10 times. So we can do a list here, and that's the name. And we're just going to create a fake list, if you will. So we're going to go up top here, and there's just going to be like this array thing here, functions for working with arrays. And all we're going to do is we're going to click add here. And if you scroll over this, it'll actually tell you what it does. It just adds values specified in parameters to an array and returns that array. Wow, that is like super confusing for how simple this is. Essentially, you're just creating a list, right? So we're going to add in an empty array, and these blueprints will be down below, guys, if you get stuck on this. But we're just going to add like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And this is just going to create like a list of 10. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add one more thing in here, and this is going to be a something called an iterator. So we'll type in iterator, and we're going to iterate, which is going through one at a time. So iterate is the exact same way as saying, hey, we're going to go through this one at a time, this list here. So we have 10 items in this list. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's going to happen is it's going to go through the first one, and then it's going to generate the image, and it's going to upload that to Google Drive, and then it's going to push it into Google Sheets, and then it's going to go through the second image, and it's going to do the same thing, and it's going to stop when we achieve 10 results or 10 different images. So just to test this, we'll run, wait for new data here, and we're going to create this dog here, and it's going to run through the first instance. Remember, we have a list here of 10 different things, and it's going through the first instance now, generating that image. Once the image is generated, then it's going to save it to Google Drive, and then it's going to upload that into the Google Sheet. You can see it's starting the second image now, and it's going to generate that second image. And then once that second image is done, it's going to publish that into the Google Drive here, and then it's going to send that image into the Google Sheet as well. And it's going to do this 10 more times, or not 10 more times, but 10 times total. And then that's more or less it. So that's the first thing that we can do to generate all of these product images, and you can have as many images there as you want. I'd recommend, at least when you're starting out, don't go over like 2 or 3, just because you want to test to make sure it's perfect before you wait like 10 minutes, for example, for this to potentially load, because it will take a bit of time. But we can take a look at these images here and see, hey, are these actually good? Is this something that I'd want to create a t-shirt on? And this should be no, definitely not. And not everything is going to be created equal. Not everything's going to be perfect. And I'm sure with the right prompt and something that takes more than like 2 seconds on my part, you could probably come up with something that's like really nice and comes up with like amazing images. But you can, like, obviously you're going to probably want to spend more than 2 seconds on it. So I have to change this prompt, because like it just keeps creating the wrong things for me. It's consistently creating the wrong things for me, which is obviously problematic, because it's actually thinking about creating the t-shirt, which is not good. I just want it to create the PNG file so that we can at least have that, but this is actually consistently creating that t-shirt. So I'm going to come back in here, and I'm just going to stop this workflow. I'm going to hit force stop at the bottom left. I think my face is blocking this. And we're going to change this prompt one more time. And then we're going to move on regardless, just because the purpose of this isn't to create a good prompt, it's to generate these images in Printify. But please generate me an image of a dog, cat, whatever cartoon design that I can use for my t-shirt. Make sure it's really cool and eye-catching. Please make sure, please only include a design. Do not include the t-shirt or anything else. Should be a plain, it should be a white background, let's just say, or it should be a PNG or a transparent background. Okay, that's good. We can try this and run it, and we'll see what comes out of this. So we'll use existing data here. Okay, we'll use new data here. We'll wait for new data, and we're just gonna, try the elephant here. And while this is waiting and we're running this, we're gonna start on the second workflow here, which is going to send these products into our Printify application, just like this Fox image here. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Now, the second thing that we wanna do here, actually, it's not gonna be a new workflow. It's going to be the same workflow, and the reason it's the same workflow is because you can only have one watch changes workflow per Google Sheet. So since we're doing this in one Google Sheet, where the ideas and the products down here, if you guys can see this, I'm just going to zoom in, because this is in one worksheet. We can only use one watch changes, and we've already used that. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, force stop this. And now what we're going to do is start the second part of this, where we actually want to send this into the Google or into the Printify store. And how we do this is we're going to right click on this filter, add a module here, and this is going to be a flow control, and we're going to do a router. Okay, and there's now two paths that it can go down. So we want to practically copy this filter here and just move it back past the router to the first stage here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to say the value here has to be true. And also the second condition that needs to be met is that the column D has to be the starting point. So it would be like, practically speaking, column start equals 4. And then that works for this. But there's just one other thing we need to do here. We need to make sure the spreadsheet name or the sheet name is ideas, right? So it's only going to start if we work on the ideas tab down here, but not the products tab over here. And similarly, we need to create another sheet or another filter over here where we only want to create products in Printify if, for example, the checkbox is marked true, it's in column D, and it's in the products spreadsheet, right, that we just created down here. So I'm going to zoom in on that, right? So very similar, it's just that one is for the ideas sheet and one is for the product sheet. So we'll go ahead and copy this over. Value is equal to true, and the column start is 4, which is this column D here. And then finally, the sheet name is, and let's just say the sheet name is, I called it products here. Okay, so if we change anything here and we want to create a product in our Shopify store or our Printify store, we just click check mark here, and then it's going to start this workflow. So the first thing that we essentially want to do here is, actually, let me just take a look here and see. We want to, first of all, well, it depends, right? Like, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to share with you guys how you could clone an image. So like, for example, if you guys are, how do I want to do this properly? First thing we're going to do here is we're actually going to generate the title and the description. That's going to be a bit easier here. So we're going to use ChatGPT, and we're going to use something called Vision, which is analyzing images according to specified instructions. What we're doing here is we're going to look at one of these images when this starts. So for example, this elephant here. And okay, this is pretty cool, right? I actually do like this design quite a bit. We're gonna take a look at this and we're gonna ask ChatGPT, hey, can you tell me what this is? Can you give me a good title? Can you give me a good description for this so that I can attach that to the product in Printify, which will then be sent to like Etsy and Shopify and whatever, right? So back in here, we're gonna choose Analyze an Image, and we're gonna say, please generate me a title and description of this image for my e-commerce store. And the output should be JSON. Okay, so you could technically do this in 2 steps where you're like, hey, step 1, tell me the title. Step 2, tell me the description. But I just like making it a bit more concise here. And I'm going to use something called JSON. JSON is a way to format data. And essentially, I'm going to show you guys the structure here. It's just curly braces. And we're just going to do title, right? So it's going to be title in quotations equals, and then whatever with a comma at the end. And then we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to paste it down. But this time, we're going to change 2 things. It's going to be description. And then whenever you're dealing with JSON, the last item in this in between the curly braces here cannot have a comma at the end, right? So we're going to do title and description, and that is essentially it. and we have to add the image in here, right? This is just going to give us one output. It's standardized, it's easy. We don't, like, in case you guys want to do like tags and whatever and add 50 things on here, it's just nice to have one output instead of like 50,000. And if you guys get stuck with this, you can go into ChatGPT and you'd be like, hey, can you tell me how to structure this properly? So you could be like ChatGPT and be like, can you please format this JSON properly? And then it's going to give you something where it, gives you the output here, which is the exact same, right? So that's just another way of doing it in case you guys get stuck. So how would you like to specify an image? It's going to be an image URL, and we're going to pass along the image URL by going into the row values here. And if you recall, anytime we hit the check box, we also have the image URL as well. So in this case, it should be the image URL here, right? And we're going to go ahead, and you can actually see there is no image URL here, and that's because it's loading data from the ideas tab, but we need to load it from the products tab down here. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's column A, because you can see all the links are in column A. So we're going to say column A, which in this case it's elephants, but in the products tab, once again down here, it's going to be it's going to be the link to the image here. And the model we can use is 4.0 mini, and that looks good to me. So we'll go ahead and use that. And then the next thing here is we want to use something called parse JSON, which is JSON here, right? Parse JSON. And essentially what this means is we're taking JSON, which once again is, oh man, we have to paste this in again, which is here. And it's just making it something, what parse JSON is just making it readable. Like it's turning JSON, which is like text like this pretty much, into stuff like this, where you can be like value equals true, column start equals 5, email equals jonocatliff@gmail.com, all of that kind of stuff, right? So we're just making it readable in make.com so that you can use it in further modules. And all I want to do here is I just want to come in here and do a couple things. I'm going to choose replace. Where is replace? And essentially what's going on here is sometimes it doesn't like give me the exact formatting that I want back. So I'm going to type in results here. Formatting, replacing is just like, essentially sometimes it'll be like, hey, here's your JSON, but it'll always be like backslash, 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 JSON, and then it'll be like this, but we can't have these backslashes or this text, right? We just need it to be exactly like this. And how we get rid of this is we're just going to put in the exact phrase that is always going to come up here, or for some reason it always comes up, and we're going to replace that with an empty string here. And we'll go ahead and continue on with this workflow. And we can actually try this now just to make sure that this works properly. So we'll run once and run anyways and wait for new data. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose select check mark for this elephant. And it's going down this path here. And we ran into an error while downloading, right? So what is likely happening in this scenario is we didn't set this to public. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. Gotcha. So you can see here, it's not set to public. This needs to be set to public in order for ChatGPT to be able to actually analyze it. So we're going to add another module here, and this is going to be a Google Sheets, a Google Drive module. And specifically, what we're going to do here is we're going to type in share, and we're going to get a share link here. And this share link will make it publicly accessible so that anyone with the link can download it, including ChatGPT. So just make sure to select the Google Drive account that you're using. Once again, if you guys aren't using the Google Drive, this should just work naturally with just the ChatGPT link that you inserted into the Google Sheet. So this is only if you're using Google Drive. And we're going to select a file here. And it's going to be from my drive. And the file ID should be row values ID, which we put in column B here. If you guys remember, we added in the ID of that file in column B. And now we should be able to reference that in the file ID here. And all we have to do moving forward here is just change the type to anyone. So anyone with this link, no matter who it is, they can always access it. We'll click OK, save that bad boy, and make sure just to click OK again here because it's giving us an error. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and run this anyways. Wait for new data. Oh my gosh, so many warnings. And we'll go ahead and choose this elephant this time. And I'm just going to uncheck these so I can run this again. Okay, sweet. So it has created the link here, and it has given us another issue here, which is that the format has to be JPEG, PNG, GIF, or WebP. What the hell format is this then? That makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, let's take a look. So I'm just going to download this to see what kind of format it is we're looking at here. Interesting. So it is a PNG, and it says that it doesn't accept PNG files. Maybe this one is a different file other than PNG. Let's take a look at this. This might be the culprit here. Okay, they're both PNG files, so I'm not too sure what's going on here. Maybe this link didn't work. So, oh, gotcha. That's very stupid of me. We never put in the right link here. So we have to come back down here and we have to paste in that share link from the Google Drive folder. Click OK, click save. Breathe a huge sigh of relief that we figured that one out. We're going to click run anyways, wait for new data, and we're going to try this one more time. We're going to see if this works. Okay, we're taking it. Okay. Oh man, this really doesn't work. Again, share link. Maybe what we're going to do is we're going to try the web content link this time. And with that, hopefully it's going to work. And once again, I think we went over the difference between the two, but essentially the web content link is going to immediately download it, whereas the web share link doesn't immediately download it. So that's probably the issue. It's freaking out, being like, hey, man, I can't download this image because, you know, it's not automatically downloading it. But if we give it the web content link, it can download it. It's not even pulling in a file right now, I believe, is the issue. So we're going to try this one more time. Okay, my heart is like racing right now, but it looks good. It looks like we're all good here. Okay, sweet. So we managed to do this. Now we're hitting an issue with the source not being valid JSON. Let's take a look at the output here. So we can see, like I was saying earlier, it just has these like 3 backslashes, and then it also has these 3 slashes down at the end here. So we just have to remove that. We did end up removing the 3 backticks and the JSON here, but we didn't remove it at the end. So what we're going to try this time is we're going to add in another replace, and we're going to put essentially all of this right in the first section here. And then we're going to have another 3 backticks and an empty string here. What's going on is that in JavaScript, you can like nest certain, this is called a function, but you can nest them inside of each other. So what happens is it executes the first one first, and then once this is done, then it'll execute the second one. So the first time it's looking for these 3 backticks in the JSON, and then it replaces it with an empty string. And then we remove the first one. And then once this whole replace is done, then we're going to run it again, and we're going to replace for the next 3 backticks and replace that with an empty string. And then we're going to remove all of that BS from our JSON, and then it's going to run immediately. And if you guys want, you could just, of course, do this in 2 modules if that's all you really want to do. We're going to wait for new data here. And unfortunately, we're going to have to run this one more time because it's going to be filtered out here. And I'm going to quickly remove both these filters here because we don't need them anymore. Click save, run one more time, run it anyways, wait for new data. Oh my gosh, there's so many warnings. And we'll click OK here. Sweet. So we're going to run this, and hopefully this JSON here, I'm going to uncheck these, is going to work properly. Sweet. Okay, so it's looking good. We have our whimsical elephant design. Man, that just sounds like a bestseller on Etsy right now. Add a touch of charm to your collection with this playful elephant graphic surrounded by playful clouds and waves. Perfect for children's products, party decorations, or fashion items. Obviously, you're going to want to change this and provide more context to ChatGPT here to make sure that you actually get the right output that you're looking for here. But in this instance, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to move on to the next step here. Sweet. So the next thing that I want to do here is I actually want to go ahead and add this into Printify. Before I do that though, I just want to share one more thing in case you guys actually have product images, right? Or you find images online and you're like, hey, I don't want to use ChatGPT. I don't want to use an AI generated image. I have an image already, or I want to use an AI clone of an image. First of all, if you have your own images, you just place them in this list here, and then you'd use them. Or you could extract them programmatically from Google Drive, but that's another video's topic. Or what you could do if you have different images online, you're actually manually grabbing them. You're like, I like this, but I don't want to use that exact image for like copyright reasons or whatever. You could go ahead and clone that image using something called stability.ai, and you could use this generate an image from an image. And this is going to take an image that you have and make a duplicate or a clone of that image so that you could use something else that you've handpicked as well, just in case you guys want to do that and not use ChatGPT. Okay, let's move on here. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to upload this image into our Printify store here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's try this out. So I'm going to do Printify here, choose Printify, and I'm going to upload an image, okay? And the first thing you're gonna wanna do is actually get a connection started here. So you can click add your connection. You have to choose your API key. I should have gone over this as well with ChatGPT. All of these different apps, you do need an API key. But once you sign up and go to settings, it should be in there, right? So if I just go like back here and I go into the account, there's gonna be an API key in there. You can copy that. You shouldn't need to pay for Printify in order to access this and continue on. And once you do that, you can paste it in here and we're good to go. We can move on to the next section here, which is we are uploading this image, right? And we're gonna choose map here and we're gonna do file name and upload image by contents or URL. Let's see what we're working with here. I think that for the purposes of this, we're just going to use a URL here. So I'm going to do web content link here, or we're going to do link. I'm going to do the web content link here. We're going to choose this. And the file name, I'm just going to go ahead and choose whatever the title was here that we generated from ChatGPT Whisper. And that looks good to me. And we can save this image here. So now we've gone ahead and this should upload an image into your account and we're going to use this image on these like t-shirt designs or whatever, right? The next thing that we want to do after we upload that image, and we're going to test this in a bit here, is we want to use Printify and we need to get variants, right? So if I type in variants here, we want to list variants that we can use to sell this because it's a print on demand servicing. And keep in mind, I'm not an expert in Printify. I just wanted to build this out as a project to showcase what you guys can do with this and how you can speed up a lot of your time. You'll want to list variants that you can use to essentially sell. So for example, what we're going to do here is I'm just going to choose whatever here. If you guys can make this as complicated as you want, but I'm just going to hard code unisex heavy cotton tee by Gildan here. And the limit, the print and then the print provider ID is just like, okay, we have this t-shirt that we're making, but who is going to be the person that is ultimately making this? And I am going to choose fulfill engine down here at the bottom. And then the limit I'm going to remove. And this is going to give us like 2,000 results, by the way. But the reason why I want I want to remove the limit here is because it's going to give us like so many different options, like, do you want it in blue? Do you want it in green? Do you want it in purple? Do you want it in brown? If you limit it to 10, you're not going to be able to programmatically like choose the right color and all that kind of stuff easily. So this way we can just go through, choose the exact variant that we want, and the large and the medium and the small, and then we can create products based on that. So we're going to click OK here. And then lastly, what I want to do is I actually want to go ahead and upload this into Printify itself. So we're going to create a product here, and I'm sure this is going to fail the first time or the second time or the third time, and we'll just debug it on the fly here as we go through this. So we're creating a product here. When this eventually decides in 2 geological eras to load. Whew. Hope your day's going well. Thanks for watching the video, by the way. Sweet. So we're going to choose shop ID, and it's just going to be like the default shop ID that you have here. And then we have to add in a bunch of different information here. So title here, I'm going to choose the title that we generated using AI. So it's going to be the whimsical elephant design. And the description is going to be add a touch of charm to your collection, blah, 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 blah. We're going to, obviously you'd want to change this to make sure it's a bit better, but that looks good for now. Sweet. And then we have the blueprint ID here. I'm just going to click map and map this in. Actually, I'm going to hard code this in for now. So we're going to do unisex heavy cotton tee by Gildan, and then the print provider ID is going to be nothing else but yours truly for Fill Engine. Thank you for Fill Engine. And we have variants and we have print areas. These have both required fields here. This is where we get into the actual customization of creating this t-shirt here. And keep in mind, you don't have to create t-shirts. You can create whatever it is you want. I'm just showing you probably, just one example of thousands of different things that you can create here. So variant has to be a mapped field up top here. And all we're going to do is we're just going to select the ID here. Okay. And the price, let's just say this is dealing in cents here. So if you wanted to do like $1, it'd be 100, and $10 would be 1,000, or $100 would be 10,000. So let's just say it's like $10 or whatever for now. And then that looks good for like the variant ID, the price. And then lastly, we need to just enter in the print areas. And let's go ahead and let's do this. So first things first, it's going to ask us once again for the variant IDs, which is essentially the same thing. We're just copying the variant IDs here from this list blueprint variants here. And practically speaking, like this is going to list in 10,000 or 100,000, or maybe, okay, sorry, not 100. Like it's not, what am I talking about? It's going to list in like maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000. And we're just pulling in the first one. Like it defaults with ID to grabbing the first one. Obviously we don't want to grab on the first one, but I'm just making this simple now. We're going to come back and change this to grab the exact colors that we want. But for right now, I just want to run this and see the options that we get. So we're going to pull in just one ID here and the placeholder position. So essentially this is like the image that we're going to have here. Like where do we want this? And I want this on the front of the t-shirt. Of course you can put it in the back, and then we have images. And if you recall, we did upload this image here. So what we can do is we can select the ID of that image by coming into, and you can see it's like shimmering here, the ID of that image. And then the X, Y, and angle and scale. This took me a bit of time to fully understand. But if you click this image positioning URL here, and you open it up, they do have like documentation that kind of goes over this. Once again, this documentation is a bit confusing, but if I just, if I just go down and select like X here, which is this right here, this documentation, by doing double quotes and X in between, it says like 100 and 100 and scale is 1 and angle is whatever. Practically speaking, this is the tilt. What do you want on it? I want it upright, so I'm going to put 0. And then scale is between 0 and 1. I want it to be the full size. And then for X and Y, I'm not quite sure why they put 100 and 100 here, but practically speaking, I want this to be like 0.25. I think it might make a bit more sense. Like I was trying to get between 0 and 100 and it just never worked. And then I treated it like 0 to 1 and then it started working. And I just put in like, actually, I'm going to do 0.5. And this is just something that I would play around with. But ultimately speaking, we're going to have to likely standardize the images here. But first, we're going to test this out and we're going to see how this works. And then once we test it out and see how it works, then we can come back and solve it. So I'm going to click OK again for now, and we're going to save this. And we are going to give this a nice little run here. So we're going to wait for new data. And we're going to come back and choose our elephant picture down below here. Okay, sweet. I'm going to uncheck that so we can use it again. We're going down the right path. And this is just going to take a couple seconds to load properly. Okay, so we've encountered our first error. That's not good. Failed to upload image. Please contact support with number. Okay, well, that's a useful debugging error there. It's like, we have no additional information for you. You're screwed. That's it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to paste in this other link here. It probably isn't the web content link. It's the share link. We'll click OK. It's a bit like, to me, I honestly, I don't really ever fully understand why some use the web content, like some use the share link. It's just their code on their servers and whatnot. And, you know, I guess it's just different for every single app. So we'll go ahead, try the other variants of the image, and we'll give this another shot here. See if this works. Okay. That doesn't look good either. So, failed to upload image, please contact support with number. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much. If you guys found this, I'm just kidding. We're going to try this one more. We're going to try this again. So the reason obviously is that I chose the contents and then I put a URL in there. So let's go ahead and let's try this one more time. Once again, I'm going to do the web content link, click OK, save, run this once, wait for new data. And we'll try this other beautiful elephant image and see if this works. Okay. We have, okay, sweet. That's awesome. First one done, second one done, third one. Oh my gosh, it worked. Okay. I'm going to stop this quickly because you can see that it just like generated like 3 or 4 variants. And if I didn't stop it there, by the way, it would have generated like, I don't know, like only about 495 variants. It wouldn't have only taken like 6 hours to finish this. So luckily I was able to stop it there. Okay, sweet. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our store and see, did this load in successfully, what it looks like, because we're going to have to do a couple tweaks here. Okay, so we have the cool family elephant t-shirt. Let's go into this. We'll click edit design here, and right off the bat, let's take a look. Looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with this so far, with the exception of design looking horrible. If the design is taken out of it, that's looking bad. The rest of it looks good. It looks centered evenly on the t-shirt, so that's all good with me. So far, so good. I'm happy with this. Obviously, we need a better design than whatever the hell that is that we're all looking at. So that's not good. Second thing is like, we don't want to create 495 variants. That's ridiculous. What we instead want to do is we want to create 3 variants, let's say small, medium, large, let's just say as an example. And we also want to make sure that maybe we don't want this, I don't know, antique sapphire. Like, what the hell kind of color is this? Antique sapphire. Have you guys ever heard of antique sapphire before? Like, for me, it's like green, blue, and the craziest I'll get is turquoise, but that's about it. So antique sapphire, what a combination here. So we need to choose the right color here. And if we just open this up, we chose the first one here. Remember how we like put an ID in this section here? Well, this ID turns out it only goes through each one at a time and it grabs the first color here. So if we look at the option, this is going to be antique sapphire. But if we scroll down to like option 163, it would be natural. Color is, what the hell kind of color is natural? I can't even understand what that would be. Old gold. Old gold. I can't even say that 10 times in a row. So I want to get white here. So how I'm going to get white is I'm going to go into the top right here, and I'm going to download output bundles, and I'm going to search for white. And the first one looks like it's ID 12,100, but we're not looking for the ID 12,100. We're looking for the this index. This is like the index that it is in this list. So this appears when you go to 283, it'll be the 283rd result out of 495. And then you can see white medium here, and that is 284. And then we can have white small, which is 285. So it's 283 to 285 that we want here, right? So that looks good to me. Let's go ahead and actually implement this in. So we change this to white instead. So how we do this, practically speaking, is we're going to right click here. We're going to add a module. And this is going to be something called an aggregator. Now, what an aggregator does is it just takes a list and it compresses it into one result. So if you look here, we have a list here. This is a list, right? And there is a list of 495 results. We don't want, and with this list right here, you saw me create like one variant, two variant, three variant. It would have created 495 results here. We don't want 495 results. We would want like 1, 2, or 3 results, right? So how we're going to do this is we're going to aggregate this into one result here. And that is exactly what the array aggregator does, is it takes 495 instances. So practically speaking, what's going to happen is it's going to run through instance 1, then run through instance 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 495. And it's not going to create any products. It's just going to keep doing this one step until that's done. And then it's going to bundle that all together. And that's kind of why, if you look at it, you have this shadow around it. So this shadow kind of determines, it's like, hey, this is where it starts and stops. It's going to run this module and any module that could be between this and the array aggregator 495 times, because there's 495 items in this list, until it's completely exhausted that list, and then it's going to bundle them all together, and then it's going to resume with the rest of the workflow here. So practically speaking, there's this source module here, which is this. This is telling us where this list is located, where we want to have it, where we want it to stop at. After 495 results from this, we stop it. And the only other thing is we have this array aggregated fields. You might be tempted to select all, but the problem is that there's likely multiple ID fields here and stuff like that, like ID, and you can only have one key with the same name. So ID and having ID again will be overridden, and it'll probably take the bottom one, which we don't want. We only want the ID from this section here. So what we're going to do is we're going to manually check off all the fields in the Printify list blueprint variants section here and click OK. And then what's going to happen is it's going to bundle it all together. And if you guys remember, the white t-shirt was located at 283. So it is located right here. This variant option here is the white size L. And what we want to do is we want to create only 3 variants here. So coming back into the create a product section here, we have variants, and we can add 2 more variants down in here. And you can see it's like erase this ID, it no longer exists. So practically speaking, what we want to do is we want to grab the ID of the variant 283. But the thing is if I was just to enter the ID here, this would only give me the ID of the first run, which would still be the same color here, right? But we want 283. So how we unlock 283 is we have this section here, and this list, these 2 square brackets denotes an array, and we're just putting in 283 here, and it's going to pull out the 283rd result from this, which will be that white t-shirt, and that's how we get the right variant ID. We can copy this down, and we're going to do this for the second variant here, but this time it's going to be 284 because we want large, medium, and we also want small down here as well. So we're going to grab all 3 of these variants, and we're just going to make sure the price is in fact $10, let's say, or whatever. Oops, $10 for all of these. And that looks good to me. So we're going to create 3 variants here. Now, we also need to make sure that we have 3 variants down here as well. So we're going to grab this one more time and just paste that down here. So 283, we're going to add another variant, and this is going to be 284. And then we're going to grab a third variant here, make sure this is mapped, and this is going to be 285. And apart from that, everything else is good. This ID is for the image. We didn't change that at all, so that looks good to me. We'll save this, okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to run this scenario, and hopefully this time it works out of the box. We're pulling in 3 variants instead of 495, and we're merging them into one product. We're not having one product for small, one product for medium, one product for large. It's one product with all 3 variants contained within it. So we're going to wait for new data, okay? And oh boy, we have to uncheck this and uncheck this, and it's going to run this because I made a change, but it's filtered out. So we're going to run this one more time, wait for new data, come in here, grab our nice little elephant thing, and it should run this scenario from top to bottom. Sweet. So we've gotten the share link. We're generating the title and description. We've parsed that. We are uploading the image. We are going to list the variants. We've gone through all of them, and we've created one specific product here. Remember the last time I did this, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was like going up and up and up here, but we only had one result here with those 3 variants. So if we come back into the store now and we take a look, the t-shirt should be white, and it should have that other elephant design on it. Okay, sweet. So that looks good to me. Obviously, it's not ideal having the like PNG thing in the background there. So that's something that you'd want to crop off. But yeah, so now we have the right variants. We have large, medium, and small on a white t-shirt with the ideal design. And that's essentially it, guys. Like, just to summarize here, what we've done is we've grabbed ideas, right? And we created multiple different images for those ideas. We created 10, but you could just create like 100 or whatever it is that you want. And then we're pasting that into this Google Sheet here, right? We're pasting in the products. And then you go through the products and you're like, hey, which product resonates with me? Which product do I like? You click create, and then it's going to automatically import that into your Printify account, so you have access to this product ready to go immediately. And then from there, what you can do is just essentially hook up your Shopify account, your Etsy account, your Amazon account, and then you can just sync the 2 back and forth so that the products, once they're loaded in here and you configure it properly, you can send it over there. And that's essentially how you can generate you can create a fully 100% automatic AI-driven print-on-demand store in not too much time, whether you're just solely creating AI products, or maybe you're just trying to find inspiration for new product ideas or new images or whatever. This is just, the tip of the iceberg as to what you can do. Of course, we just did images on a t-shirt, but there's a lot of different products you can sell. There's a lot of different ideas that you can go out and try. And hopefully this helps. I really hope you guys found value in this video. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave it in the description down below. The blueprints will be there as well for you guys to download for free. Thank you so much once again. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.